Hello everyone, Coach Audrey here at Anytime Fitness Young and Elgin Mills, and welcome to, Coach's Corner. Basically, what we talk about with the coaches behind the scenes to make sure you guys get the best service possible. And today's topic is exercise progression, exercise variety. Basically, how do we change up exercises to make them more challenging without changing the whole workout completely. Now, a lot of times, those smaller changes do make a really big difference. We can easily make an exercise that's primed for developing strength and building muscle to something that is way more focused on stability, right? Developing the stabilizers, maybe developing balance, or more even as like a rehab exercise. Now, when we look at progressing exercises, oftentimes the big one that we always think about, right, here we got volume, right? We are thinking oftentimes, let's go heavier. Let's do more repetitions, let's do more sets. Volume can also be doing so just more density. So the same amount of weight in less time, or more weight in the same time. Right? Density is a great one also, and very simple to progress with yourselves or with clients. Another massive one is points of contact. Now, points of contact really does change up the exercise quite a bit. Oftentimes, the rule of thumb we will say is the more stable something else, the more prime it is for developing and building muscle, and then the less stable it is, the more it is towards developing balance, developing those stabilizers, maybe more useful for certain rehab situations. And this one's nice and simple. We have bilateral, which usually means two legs or two hands doing the movement. We also have staggered, or sort of like a B stance. This one's great. It really allows us to put way more emphasis onto one leg, but still maintain that stability. So it's still awesome for developing and building muscle. Now we can also do something like a 2-2-1. So we are doing the eccentric in this variation with one leg, right? The eccentric tends to be a little bit easier in the deadlift. And then we are using that second leg to help get the weight back up. And oftentimes the eccentric will slow down the tempo, make sure it's nice and controlled. And then obviously we can just go unilateral, single leg for the deadlift, or a lot of other exercises as well. Really challenge that one leg. Benefits are it allows us to use way less weight. So if we have a bad back or maybe some bad hip, this allows us to put way less shear force onto the spine and still get a great workout for the hamstrings and the glutes. But again, might not be as optimal for developing muscle, because now there's a lot of other muscles working. We are focusing a lot more on trying to stabilize ourselves, and we just can't move as much weight. The next type of progression that we can do, which is just loading implementation. And again, we're looking at loading bilateral, right? We got one weight in each hand. We can load unilateral, going with, we can still go 2 feet on the ground, but we can load on one side, again, engaging a lot more core. Obviously, the glutes and the hamstrings won't get as much work done. But like I mentioned, we can go single leg, and then we can go contralateral, ipsilateral, and we can even play around with the lever length in terms of implementation of exercise. Now, we won't do that for the deadlift, obviously, but for something like lateral raises for the shoulders, right? If we hold nice and close, that'll be a lot easier than having those arms extended, or possibly even doing a back extension. If we are hugging that weight, that'll be a lot easier as opposed to bringing the weight out and away from us as we're coming up on that back extension. Now, the fourth way of progressing exercises, this is a really popular one, it's tempo. Oftentimes we're just doing 2 seconds eccentric, 2 seconds concentric, maybe a little pause at the middle of that movement, but we can add a pause at the bottom or the top, right? Hold for however long you want, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. We can decrease the eccentric, basically just go slow motion on the way down, be explosive on the way up, or we can go slow motion on the way down and on the way coming back up. We can also just make it explosive, right? Control on the way down, and then either jump or throw or just come out of the hole really quick. So lots of things we can play around with tempo to make an exercise either more challenging or easier. And last but not least, we just have sort of additional loading that we can add to the bar or to dumbbells. We can add resistance bands or chains. That's great sort of leveling out the force curve, right? So oftentimes the deadlift, it is very challenging at the bottom of the movement, and then as we come up to the lockout, biomechanically, we are more advantaged at that point, and it's a lot easier. So we can add a band or something like change, which still allows us to get the weight off of the ground, but at the top during the lockout, it's making it feel a lot heavier. We can also do RNT, so reactive neuromuscular training. So for the deadlift, we have that band pulling the weight away, which causes us to have to engage those lats and keep that weight nice and close to the shins. We can do that with basically any exercise that is out there. For split squats around the knee, for squats you can have the bar being pulled forward. Lots of ways to get RNT to help activate certain muscles. And then last but not least, we just have sort of unstable loading that we can do. Now again, as I referred to in the beginning of the video, oftentimes we are playing that balance between stability, lifting more weight, developing more muscle, and then instability, more stabilizers being involved, more rehab, right? This implementation of just unstable weights creates a lot of instability, especially for the shoulder joint, where a lot of the shoulder rotator cuff muscles really get activated. And yeah, we could even increase range of motion, as you can see with this exercise, which I didn't mention yet. But range of motion, oftentimes more range of motion means we cannot lift as heavy, and then less range of motion means we can increase that weight, and easily we can progress for 6-8 weeks of just playing around with changing the range of motion and adding and decreasing the weight, and slowly making it more and more challenging over 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You could even go 3 months really of just playing around with range of motion and load. Now, hopefully you guys found this educational. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any suggestions as well, let me know. And yeah, talk to you guys soon.